Welcome to TT-Buddhism, a channel dedicated to exploring timeless Buddhist wisdom and its power to transform modern life. Have you ever searched for truth beyond the surface of what you were taught? Maybe you've read the Bible, explored the Vedas, opened the Quran, or even dived into Stoic philosophy and the power of the subconscious mind, all in hopes of understanding life's deeper meaning. I've been there too, but no matter how many texts I studied, something always felt incomplete. Until one day, I stumbled upon the words of the Buddha in the Kalama Sutta. Do not believe simply because it is written, only accept what you know to be true through your own experience. That single sentence shook me awake. Today's video is not just about Buddhism. It's about a paradox that might change the way you see religion, philosophy, and even your own path in life. How can Buddhism be called a religion when it has no God, no fixed dogma, and no promise of salvation? That's the mystery we're here to unpack. Stay with me, because this journey doesn't ask for your belief. It asks for your presence, your curiosity, and your willingness to question everything you thought you knew. If you've ever felt that the truth must be lived, not just learned, you've come to the right place. Let's begin. When we think of religion, certain images come to mind. Sacred texts, gods to worship, prayers, commandments, rituals, and promises of heaven or threats of hell. Religion, as many of us have come to understand it, is a system of belief, a framework built around faith in something greater than ourselves. In this view, a religion has a divine authority, a set of rules to follow, and often a community united by shared devotion. Christianity places its foundation in belief in God and the redemptive power of Jesus Christ. Islam centers itself on submission to the will of Allah as revealed in the Quran. Hinduism explores the self through a rich tapestry of deities. But here's where Buddhism starts to look different. Buddhism doesn't ask you to believe in a god. It doesn't promise eternal life in heaven or threaten eternal punishment in hell. It offers no ultimate savior to rescue you, and no commandments carved in stone. Instead, it offers something far more personal, and perhaps far more radical. The Buddha never claimed to be divine. He didn't present himself as a prophet sent by a higher power. He simply said, "I am awake." And from that awakening, he shared a path, a set of tools, that anyone could use to discover the truth for themselves. This is what makes Buddhism so difficult to categorize. It doesn't fit neatly into the traditional religious box. And maybe that's why it has continued to thrive for over 2,500 years across vastly different cultures, not by demanding faith, but by offering clarity. Instead of asking what you believe, Buddhism asks, what do you see? What do you experience when you look deeply into your own mind? This shift from belief to inquiry changes everything. It moves the focus from worship to wisdom, from blind obedience to personal responsibility. And that's where the paradox begins. Buddhism may look like a religion from the outside, but at its heart, it is something much more intimate and transformative. So the question remains, if Buddhism isn't about believing in a god or following a creed, then what is it really about? Let's explore. To understand what Buddhism is, we have to start with the story of a man, not a god, not a prophet, but a human being named Siddhartha Gautama. Born into luxury as a prince in ancient India, Siddhartha was sheltered from all forms of suffering. His father, hoping to keep him tied to worldly pleasures, surrounded him with comfort and distraction. But everything changed the day Siddhartha encountered what are now known as the four sights: an old man, a sick person, a corpse, and a wandering ascetic. In those fleeting moments, the illusion of permanence shattered. Siddhartha saw, maybe for the first time, that no matter how wealthy or powerful one is, suffering is inevitable. Aging, illness, death, no one escapes it. These revelations awakened a fire in him, the need to find a way beyond the endless cycle of pain and rebirth, a path to true and lasting liberation. So he left everything behind: his title, his wealth, his palace. For 6 years, Siddhartha practiced extreme asceticism, starving and punishing his body in hopes of enlightenment. But in the end, he realized that this path was no different from indulgence. Both were extremes. That's when a new insight dawned: the middle way. Not too much, not too little. Not running toward pleasure, nor running away from pain. A path of balance, clarity, and presence. And then, under the Bodhi tree, after deep meditation, he awakened. He saw clearly the nature of suffering, its causes, and the way to be free from it. This awakening became the foundation of Buddhism. From that insight came the Four Noble Truths, the core of the Buddha's teaching. Life involves suffering, not just pain, but a deep dissatisfaction with things as they are. Suffering is caused by craving, our constant grasping, attachment, and resistance to change. Suffering can end when we let go of craving and ignorance. There is a path to that freedom, the Eightfold Path. Simple but not easy, practical but profound. And most importantly, this truth isn't something you're asked to believe. It's something you're invited to discover for yourself. The Buddha didn't just point to the problem, suffering, or explain its cause. He gave us a roadmap, a practical, step-by-step path anyone can walk to break free from the cycle of craving and dissatisfaction. This path is known as the Noble Eightfold Path, and it's not a set of commandments or rules to blindly obey. Think of it more like a compass, something that helps you find your way back to clarity, balance, and peace. The path begins with right view and right intention, the wisdom component. This means seeing the world as it truly is, not as we wish it to be. It's about understanding that everything is impermanent, that clinging leads to suffering, and that liberation is possible. From that clarity comes intention, choosing to live with kindness, compassion, and a willingness to let go of what causes harm. Then comes the ethical part of the path. Right speech, right action, and right livelihood. These aren't moral rules imposed from above. They're natural extensions of wisdom. When we understand how much suffering comes from harsh words, harmful actions, and unethical work, we naturally begin to live more mindfully and gently with others. Finally, we arrive at the mental discipline side: right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. This is where the inner work deepens. Right effort is about cultivating wholesome qualities and letting go of unwholesome ones, not through force, but with awareness. Right mindfulness means staying present, fully aware of what's happening in our body, heart, and mind. And right concentration refers to the deep stillness developed through meditation, where insight can truly blossom. Taken together, These 8 aspects form a complete path, a way of living that nurtures wisdom, ethics, and mental clarity. But here's the thing. This path isn't something you walk just once. It's a lifelong practice, a way of showing up in the world with openness, with presence, and with care. And you don't have to be a monk or live in a cave to follow it. You can live this path in your daily life, at home, at work, in relationships. Wherever you are, the Eightfold Path is a guide to inner freedom. As we walk the Eightfold Path, something begins to shift. We start to see life with new eyes, not through our habits or assumptions, but through direct experience. And 2 of the most powerful insights that arise on this journey are the truths of impermanence and non-self. Let's start with impermanence, or anicca in Pali. Everything changes, everything. The seasons change, relationships change, our bodies age, our thoughts come and go. No feeling, no situation, no identity is fixed. And yet, most of our suffering comes from resisting this truth. We cling to what we want to keep, we push away what we don't, and we suffer every time things don't go our way. The Buddha taught that suffering isn't caused by change itself, but by our attachment to things staying the same. When we embrace impermanence, we begin to relax into life's flow. We stop demanding that the world bend to our expectations and instead meet each moment as it is, fresh, fleeting, and full of possibility. Now let's turn to non-self, or anatta. This can be a hard one to grasp at first. Most of us think of ourselves as solid, fixed beings, with a name, a personality, a story. But when we look closely, what do we actually find? Thoughts come and go. Emotions arise and pass. Even our sense of identity shifts from moment to moment. The Buddha didn't say we don't exist, but that there is no unchanging self at the core of our being. What we call me is actually a collection of constantly changing processes: body, feelings, perceptions, thoughts, and consciousness, all arising due to causes and conditions. And here's the liberating part. When we stop clinging to a fixed identity, we stop suffering every time that identity is threatened. We become freer, more flexible, and more compassionate toward ourselves and others. These teachings on impermanence and non-self aren't abstract ideas. They're tools for freedom. They help us let go of fear, soften our grip on control, and open to the present moment with clarity and peace. So how do these insights, impermanence and non-self, actually help us in everyday life? Imagine you're going through a breakup, or you've lost your job, or you're watching someone you love grow old and frail. In those moments, the mind often clings to how things used to be, to the life we imagined, to the version of ourselves we thought we were. But when we deeply understand impermanence, we begin to see these moments not as punishments, but as natural parts of life's unfolding. We stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start seeing, this too is changing. It doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we care more wisely, with compassion, not control. And when we understand non-self, we learn to stop taking everything so personally. A harsh comment doesn't pierce as deeply when we see it's not attacking some fixed, fragile me. It's just sound, passing through a changing process. Failures don't define us. Successes don't trap us in pride. we become more spacious, more forgiving, more free. These teachings are especially relevant in our modern world, a world obsessed with identity, achievement, permanence, and control. In the middle of all this noise, Buddhism invites us to come home to something quieter, something deeper. This is where mindfulness comes in, not just as a buzzword or productivity tool, but as a way of living. To be mindful is to be awake in your own life, to breathe and actually feel the breath, to walk and know that you're walking, to speak and mean what you say. It's about bringing awareness to the present moment, not to escape life, but to finally enter it. In doing so, we begin to transform, not by becoming someone new, but by letting go of everything we're not. And that is where real peace begins. So, in the end, what is Buddhism? It's not about believing in something beyond yourself. It's about discovering what has always been within you. It's not a religion in the way the world often defines it, with deities, dogmas, and promises of salvation. And yet, it speaks to the deepest parts of the human spirit. It invites us to wake up, not to follow blindly, but to see clearly, to question, to observe, to live with intention. In a world that often asks us to choose sides, cling to labels, and define ourselves by what we believe, Buddhism gently whispers, you are not your beliefs. You are not your fears. You are not your past. You are awareness. You are potential. You are the unfolding of life itself. Here at TT-Buddhism, we're not here to convert you. We're here to walk beside you as fellow seekers, curious minds, and human hearts searching for peace in a noisy world. If this message touched something in you, if it made you pause, reflect, or breathe a little more deeply, then this video has done its job. Thank you for being here. We invite you to join us on this journey by subscribing, sharing your thoughts in the comments, and exploring more teachings that can guide us back home to ourselves. May you be well. May you be free. May you walk your path with wisdom and compassion.